Yo guys, what is going on? It is your boy Nick from Run the Foot Market here. Today guys, I'm joined by a very special guest. We have FutEconomist or Jamie in the house today.
Yo, what's up, Nick?
What's up, man? It's good to have you on. Today we're going to be don't really know what we're doing, man. We're kind of going to do like one of those podcast things, just talking, guys. You guys are really liking these kind of things. And we have a ton to talk about today, guys. We're going to talk about icons just in general. We're going to talk about our thoughts on them on the PS4 market, on the Xbox market. We're going to talk about all these different prices. We talk about the lower tier ones, the upper tier ones, what you guys are going to expect in the next few weeks and maybe the next few months. Pro players, if some of you guys are watching this video because you guys are wondering when to buy them for your teams and all that, we're going to give you some advice on that, and we're going to just talk about Throwback Thursdays, what we saw today. I know it seems like some disappointment in the community, but I think you guys should understand the logistics of it, and we're going to get into it today. So, Jamie, what do you think just in general about icons today? Is there anything you just want to start off and get out there to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it might be helpful to start sort of like with a summary of what sort of went down today and maybe in the past several days. I mean, today was Thursday, right, as we're recording this, and we were sort of half expecting our first Throwback Thursday SBC today. Now, for those that don't know, the Throwback Thursday SBC, the idea would be that you submit all these different SBCs, like a series of SBCs, and then in return you would get an untradeable icon. That's sort of what we are predicting is going to be the way that we're going to get the access to the Prime icons, as well as them being in packs for the limited amount of time that SBC is out. So with that in mind, sort of what happened today and over the past couple of days is that icon prices have actually been rising because people were anticipating that you would need one of the baby icons in order to submit them and then in order to get the Prime icon. So, you saw that, especially some of the lower end icons, we actually saw that a lot of them jumped up. I think a couple days ago you could get them for like 200, 250, depending on what console you're on. And then today they rose up to like 300, 350. And then that was leading up all the way till about 1 p.m. Or 6 p.m. UK, 1 p.m. my time. When we realized that it didn't look like there was going to be a Prime icon SBC, and then prices actually dipped back down again. So it's sort of been an interesting sort of dynamic. You also seen, just sort of generally zooming out and looking at the broader icon market, you've seen that what I think the high-end icon market is actually kind of cheap right now, and I know, Nick, you have some good thoughts on this as well. But it looks like the high-end icon market's pretty cheap right now relative to the player's ability in game and maybe what their sort of equilibrium settling price is going to be. And there's also a pretty interesting dynamic. Nick, you were talking about this earlier between the difference in price between the Xbox market and the PS market.
Yeah. So basically, we were talking a little bit, just kind of summarizing the icon market before we recorded this video, and we were just looking at right now what we're seeing, just to take a step out of the whole icon thing in general, just markets in general. Like, it seems like the lower end players on the PS4, the overpowered guys like Renato, all that, it looks like Bakayoko, it looks like they've caught up in price. They were behind obviously in the beginning because we had 5 days of early access over here on Xbox, where the PS4 only had some time on the web app where they couldn't throw on FIFA points till the 26th or start really playing games and trading till the 26th. So it looks like right now, it looks like the PS4 has caught up in price to Xbox within those players. But right now, in terms of, we were talking about Kevin De Bruyne currently is like 80K cheaper on PS4. His Inform, it's a lot cheaper. And a lot of the upper tier guys on PS4 regarding icons, which we're talking about this video, is they're not caught up in terms of a price yet on Xbox. And the craziest part is, I think this is a really huge investing opportunity for a lot of you guys on PS4, because I think how Jamie and I see it is that, as he was talking about, the way that some of these top tier guys that aren't even the primes, the second best Ronaldo, the second best Ronaldinho, like, these guys are outstanding in game, and this year I think we're really seeing EA really put in some kind of icon boost. Like, they've completely changed it from legends, and now they're icons. Like, they're big time. They're everything you want in a player, and it looks like the stats are not just the stats. It looks like there's more to it this year.
I mean, if you play with them in FUT Draft, I mean, you notice like, okay, like R9's on the ball, or Maradona's on the ball, or Henry's on the ball. Like, it's a big deal. Like, they are unreal players in game. Yeah.
So just like you said, like, I think icons on Xbox, like the top tier guys, even the top tier center backs, because some of the center backs, like I bet center back Maldini is only $1 million, and it's it's 82 pace, 95 defending. It's like, what? Wow, like some of these cards are like, and you're looking at the stats alone and saying, wow, wait till you play with them in the game, as we just talked about, and they have that boost, that icon boost. So this is how I feel. Like, I think that the Xbox market icons, the higher tiers, still have a good amount of room to go up. So if you're on PS4, to me, that's really good news for you guys, because you guys are still behind in price. And I think also, just talking about PS4 in general, and this is, I talked to some guys who trade on the PS4, is that you guys have a big advantage, and if you're not using this advantage, you definitely should start doing it. You guys should start to watch how the Xbox market works, because you guys, until I think the end of October, November, you guys will be still behind in terms of prices. So you guys can use the Xbox market as an indicator of what's to come on PS4. What are we going to see happen on PS4? What could this card go to that price? Could he go there? So I think that's something you guys need to look at. And I think right now, where the top tier icons, as I said, on Xbox are anywhere from 50 to 100 to 150K more than they are on PS4, and they still have room to go up, that there definitely is a lot of room to them to go up on PS4. And I think, really quickly, talking about your first point regarding, I think we can get into now a little bit of the Throwback Thursday thing. Just as you mentioned, it was pretty unclear in the Foot Live. Like, I think they said that it was going to be the first and the last, and then they came out later and said that it was going to be randomized, so we don't know what to believe. I think today we saw that I think the original claim was that it was going to be the first Thursday a full game release. So the full game came out about a week ago. This is the first Thursday where everyone's been on the game. No access, no only web app, none of that. Everyone's on. And I think that, I think it's going to be, obviously, I think we're going to see it probably. I would be shocked if we didn't see it next week. I think today I'm not that upset because it is still really early on. And I think there's very few people who can really probably do those Prime Icon SBCs. And I think that EA really wants to make sure that those icons are not easy to get because they're so elite. And I think that if they put them out right now as an SBC, I think you would see them. I think you would see people in November and December be like, wow, he was so cheap then. Like, I wish I had coins to do him then, because he was just, everyone who had the coins then had such an advantage, which we do right now is investing in general. If you have more coins, you're going to be able to make more money in the beginning of the game. It's just a natural thing while others are trying to catch up. But if they were to put out, one of those big time SBCs right now, as of today, it would have been, I think, cheaper than it would have been next week or the week after. I do expect it to be pretty randomized. And if you want to get into just talking about, we can start to talk about requirements. We can start to talk about what that, I forget his name, but the guy, I want to credit him, obviously. The guy was, he talked about requirements. Yeah, so we could, if you want to take that over and talk about a little bit of the requirements that we could see for potential Prime Icon SBCs, and just we can talk about prices, all of that, and where we expect certain players to be at.
Sure, yeah. One thing before I forget, you were talking about how some of the higher end icons could actually move up. One thing that could be a catalyst for that actually happening would be weekend league rewards. That just could be sort of like a something that could sort of bump up those player prices.
Yeah, completely. I mean, because those weekly rewards are no joke. There's for finishing Gold 1+, you are getting good coins.
Exactly. So anyway, to answer your question, this guy on Twitter does a lot of great work. If you don't follow him, I do recommend you go check him out. His name is SimplyBlue88. He actually put together a pretty nice little graphic that shows, he basically dissected a video where they were looking at, some EA guys were looking at some of the Prime SBC for the icon. I think it was for Ronaldo, if I'm correct. Yeah, and it basically it gives us like a hint at what some of the requirements could be. We don't get like a full look at it, and we can't see all of, like the full series of it, if you will. It's only like the first page. Like you can't scroll down and see the rest of them. But from what we can see, at least for this this example SBC, and you got to take this with a grain of salt because EA and the live producers could change this up at any time. But what it looks like is it's going to require pretty high level teams in terms of like overall rating, pretty high level chemistry too. So looking at nations that are looking well with each other. You think you're talking your French, your Spanish, your Italian players, and you're also looking at players sort of like the whole idea how they're building like an icon story. So the players like past teams, their country, where they're from. And it's also one thing that was sort of like key was that it required, at least one of the SBCs that we can see, it required one of the icons. Now, it didn't require like a specific icon, at least in the one that we were looking at. So
Yeah.
one thing, that's sort of a big deal, because sort of the perception was, or the sort of, the general thinking was that in order to get, for example, if you're trying to get R9, your thought was that you would need a baby R9. You'd have to turn in a baby R9 to get, the prime R9. But from what we have here, and sort of like the rumored SBC requirements that we have here, it looks like you're only just going to need like a regular, any old icon, whatever one you can find. Like, for example, one of the cheaper ones right now is the baby Schmeichel. So you could hypothetically turn that in with the team around it. I think, a pretty high rated team around it. And then, obviously the other SBCs. It looks like, from the looks of things, it's going to be anywhere between 6 to 8 teams. SBC you have to submit, which could get pretty darn expensive, but so those are sort of like the requirements. Nick, how do you think that's going to affect like prices?
So obviously with they want to control that price, and they want to make it super an elite card in terms of value. And guys, by the way, I haven't mentioned this. FutEconomist's Twitter will be in the description. He posts amazing stuff on Twitter, a lot more than I do, so you guys got to make sure you're following him. He is like the update guy on Twitter. You do not want to miss his thing. Make sure you guys are throwing the notifications on and show him some love, guys, because really appreciate him coming on today. I'm also going to link, guys, the thing that we just talked about where his name again, what's the guy's name?
On Twitter, his @ is simplyblue88, but his username is Patrick Grob.
Okay, so I'm going to link the tweet or the actual link to the all the evidence he compiled. He's getting that stuff, guys, from the Foot Live event, which was an event we had to kind of build the FIFA Ultimate Team hype about a month ago. And kind of what Jamie was talking about was that there's one full SBC that we did see, like we really saw into it, and what it was that they said minimum icons 1, and it was Road to Prime Ronaldo, the first SBC. So it had and then there was II, and then 3. There was multiple ones, so there was more than 4. We could see that there was like kind of one of those scroll down things, so there was going to be more than 4 SBCs. I'll get into the prices in a sec, but just to kind of reiterate that, guys, like, and here's something we were talking about before we did this, which could be a huge switch up, and that they love to do over at the EA headquarters to kind of confuse investors and make sure that not everyone is making a ton of coins, which is that you see that it says icons minimum 1, and you see that Ronaldo, one of the stories, the lower story ones, is in the SBC. So the first glimpse I think a lot of people missed is that what you said is that it doesn't require his specific story.
Right.
It just says icons minimum 1. So if you were to put a baby Schmeichel in, you would save a ton of coins by doing that instead of putting that one in. But I think this is something we definitely need to watch out for, guys, and that's, don't over invest and think you have it all down. Where I think this SBC is legit. I think this is a legit SBC. I don't think they would have just made a whole fake SBC for an event. I think that was a live look at Ultimate Team. I could be wrong. Obviously, we don't know anything confirmed yet. They haven't even tweeted out about Throwback Thursdays within the last month or two. I mean, but I just think talking about that is like, they have the power to change the requirements. There's no set requirements for any SBC, so they could say, icon story Ronaldo 1 or 2 requirement. They could make you throw that in. Now, does it make sense in terms of a market standpoint? No, I don't think it makes sense that they're gonna try to, that the most of the market is gonna get wiped for baby versions if it's a, if it's a Ronaldo and they say you need one of the earlier Ronaldos. Well, is that Ronaldo even going to be available on the market, or are they going to have to make sure he's getting in packs a lot, or what? What's the deal with that? Because then you're going to lose those guys on the market. It's going to make those guys a lot more rare. So I don't know how much that would make sense. Not saying it's out of the question. And then obviously going back to your point about prices is like, it's going to be expensive. There's no way it's not expensive. We were talking about team ratings. I mean, like, they could do a whole for Ronaldo. They could do a Real Madrid thing. They could do a Brazilian side, and they could make a high-rated Brazilian side with informs. They could do like, we're already starting to get some Brazilian informs in the game. Right. And they definitely, like, you're looking at 84, 85 team ratings with some special cards. They will find a way to make some weird links because, and even brick slots, guys, we've already seen brick slots start to impact some things. Now, we've seen in League SBCs, they've put a brick slot in. There was some Turkish player who some guy was trying to price fix, and I kind of warned some people about this, is that if you're going to go ahead and price fix for a League SBC, and which listen, I don't advise because it's very risky, and neither does Jamie, but if you're doing that, make sure you're selling whenever you're getting the profit, because it looks like they're very quick right now to put in a brick slot whenever someone's price fixing or something's very, not manageable to go do. And I talked to some guys about this, but brick slots are there to help everyone. It's not there to kind of like be your worst nightmare. They're there to they've implemented that due to extinction problems last year within a lot of SBCs, so that they can now they get the control of the price of the SBC, but they can also control what is needed around it. I guess the counter argument could be made that around brick slots, like, it could go even more extinct because you need the specific things, but in my opinion, they're not going to put a brick slot that's going to make something go just crazy extinct. So obviously now we have brick slots, so there's two sides. Now they can obviously make SBCs more expensive, and if you're looking at 6 SBCs and you think, oh well, you only need one icon and you're probably only going to need 5 informs, you're probably a little ahead of yourself. They're going to make it a certain value, and I think they're going to try to keep it, when they're writing up these SBCs, they have a certain value in mind of what they want to make the player. And I think just what I want to add really quickly regarding investments and giving you guys a little bit of advice in terms of things you guys can do well at and make safe investments. We were talking about this before, but there's the whole thing of added informs now. They've made, there's what, like how many team of the weeks? We've had 3 team of the weeks. There's probably like 60, 65 gold informs now. Out of the 23 players in the team of the week, I think we've only had like 5 or 6 silvers so far, which last year you'd have 7 or 6 each team of the week. So they've clearly, now they're making silvers who get informs, they're making them have lower end gold informs, so they're clearly trying to put more gold informs on the market. And does that mean that, that's for them being able to, if they say, hey, you need this many special cards to complete this part of the SBC for Ronaldo, now that there's more gold informs on the market, that is going to help, I think, not raise the price like crazy.
Yeah, it just sort of lessens the blow of that requirement. Yeah, no. You're definitely spot on there. And just sort of to circle back to that brick point, it's basically like EA's sort of like financial fair play kind of tool, right? Like they can just make sure that, some of the big guys with huge coin totals just aren't throwing their weight around and making SBCs outrageously expensive for people to complete. And then sort of going back to the SBC for the prime icon, so the question that I guess you guys are having now is, okay, so you've told us that basically we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket, sort of like either investing in the baby icon for the player, for the icon that we want, or putting it all in whatever. Some of the things I think you are safe in investing in here are like high-rated players. From the looks of things,
very cheap right now.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the guys that aren't necessarily high-level competitive weekend league players. You guys like Iniesta, Verratti. Some of your high-rated goalies who aren't necessarily going to be the starters, right? In most weekend league sides. They're great looks, especially if you can pick them up from nations that are easy to hybrid, or if they're in leagues that are generally have a lot of high-rated players in them. I think those are safe bets, and like Nick said, informs are another safe bet, especially informs from their past teams, just because it does look like they are sort of creating this icon story, if you will. Where it's you have to sort of create this sort of similar to what they have with like Player of the Month, where it's like creating this like just almost like a story, like a narrative, like a journey, and from their past teams and their past nations.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think like I was looking at some guys today, just kind of. Listen, I thought it was going to come today. I obviously sold my icons in the hype, made like 70K a pop, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, where there's a huge investing method for all you guys to really, I think, be making some good coins on weekly once you get over like 500K, where you could throw some coins every week for a pretty safe investment. But I think like you were talking about guys from good clubs and stuff, and it doesn't hurt. Like I saw 86 Miranda right now. He plays for Inter and he's Brazilian. I mean, if you're looking for a Ronaldo investment that's a past club in a nation that's similar to him, he's an 86 rated. There's no way the SBC is going to be more than 86. He's going to be useful.
Yeah.
Stuff like that for him for 15K is crazy. Like and there's so many deals right now within 88s, 87s, 86s, and they're going to keep rising. Probably, most likely, they're going to keep catching up, because the only way they go down is crazy weekend league panic selling. And listen, we just talked about it. I don't really think a lot of those guys are in a lot of weekend league teams. You got to find the ones with pretty average stats, and I don't think those guys are going to take a hit like a lot of OP players will Sunday night. And they're going to pretty much hold their price and probably steadily rise until we get whatever the Halloween promotion, and then obviously we have Black Friday market crash, which we'll talk about that in a second, because that is something that needs to get on everyone's radar as we're now kind of getting into October, and that's definitely coming soon. But really quickly, like, we have now this opportunity to trade with icons that are lower levels, and last year they were pretty much useless. You know, some of the ones that were 85s, 86s, no one used. They were discard by December. They really just, you know, no one touched them much. They didn't feel great in the game. You know, there was constant just them being on the market, just not really selling much over 120. Their discard was 106. And now I think this year you're going to see where, like, for today, for example, if, you know, this is just a hypothetical, guys, but, you know, if it's not every Thursday with the Throwback Thursday and it's randomized Thursdays, if after today's event, you know, icons were 300, and if the minimum price for icons is going to be 300 in a given week, then if they're being panic sold for 260, 250, 270 because everyone wants their coins, you maybe invest in one. You hold it for a little while, and then in the hype again for the next week, you know, because people think it might happen next week, he's back up to 340, 350K, and you're making 80K just by keeping a player for a few days. And I think that's going to be a very effective and usable way to do well with coins. I think also we talked about the possibility of 1 week them saying you need a baby, if that's even a, you know, if they're going to do that, maybe you need a baby 1 week of the specific player that they have a prime for, and then you might see all of the icons be sold that aren't needed in that SBC. So then you go in and you do that, and it could be just a constant change up of when we're getting a Throwback Thursday and when we're not. So there's so much to do. I would just say he's going to go ahead and say this, is that you always want to be selling in the hype. That's how you're going to make coins. Everyone's buying up last minute. It is not, you know, I'll go ahead and say this on the record really quick. I made a bad call the other week. I told everyone to sell their gold monis in the hype. I was like, listen, this guy has 2 pages on the market. There's no way they're going to require his actual card this early on in FIFA. And listen, they did. He goes from 80K to 200K. But a lot of people still made money because they sold in the hype. They made 10 to 15K. Right. It was the 99% of the time the right call. And I'm always going to tell you guys, listen, I might sit here because I'm currently getting a lot of coins into my account, and I might take a risk with a player or two. But for the guys that are, you know, under $1 million, you guys are trying to make your way up, there's no need to risk it. Just take the profit, run away, and keep going. And just to add on to that now, the Black Friday thing I was talking about, there is a huge pre-Black Friday market crash. I think for the last 2 years. I was looking at FIFA 16 trends earlier today just to kind of confirm this because I want to get this out there. Last week we had a big market crash, Black Friday, and it was the week before Black Friday. Everyone started making YouTube videos. Everyone was like, sell, sell, sell. You know, they do all those promotions. They do this, what is Cyber Monday there too? It's around Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
So they do that whole thing. It's towards the end of November, and that's when I would say, guys, a lot of people are wondering, icons into your teams, when do I buy them? I think Jamie would say this, and I would go ahead to say this. Yes, we think icons in the upper tier are going to keep going up. The middle tier, it's super unpredictable because you have some center backs right now that are not even the prime version that are going for 900, 800K, which is a lot of coins. I know this game has huge demand like no other this year, but listen, those are a little bit more unpredictable in my opinion. And I would say this, guys, if you guys are looking to trade, invest, make a lot of coins, find yourself a team that's like BPL, Calcio, overpowered, under 100K, and just have fun with it for the first month or two. Go play some weekend league games. You can do well with teams that are cheap. We've learned that last year. We saw AA9 Skills on a road to glory all year play with a team that was pretty much average, like had OP players, but was not more than 200K for a while. And he was getting top 100 finishes every weekend. So I would say that there is a huge buy date by November. We don't know. It's around Black Friday. We'll be able to tell. I know last year I was picking up Legends. Last year Legends, like I was able to get my hands on a Blanc for like 480, a Ferdinand for 400 back when they were like 600, and they were being panic sold like crazy because all these YouTubers were promoting that, you know, there's going to be this huge market crash next week, sell before the market crash. And what a lot of us investors picked up on that was that the market crash with the Legend market last year was actually like a week before. So to all the pro players and anybody who's an avid weekend league player who really wants that icon on their team to keep for good and to make a little bit of money on and not get killed with tax and losing coins on, your buy day is somewhere for that elite team is somewhere towards the middle to end of November. We'll keep you updated obviously on Twitter. You guys will see everything, but that's my opinion on that because I looked specifically at graphs too. Those guys go up and they hold their price probably to like just around team of the year, which is somewhere in January. We don't know what's going to happen with that this year, but they're probably going to hold their price all the way till end of January, February, and you're talking like you're getting 2.5 months, 3 months out of a team that you don't even need to worry about losing coins on. So if you guys really want to put in a lot of coins into one icon and you really want it for your team, I would say just have fun with a team that's fun to use and you're not going to get killed with losing money on because of market crashes. Because I think Sunday night you're going to be even watching maybe icons might take a little dip in the mid tier. I think the lower tier we talked about in this video is that they're always going to have, I think, this movement throughout the week of kind of hanging around that 250, 300 range, both consoles, because they're just going to be, you know, on the off week that maybe they're needed for the SBC. They're always going to be in the air question, people buying in the hype rather than selling, and I think those are always going to hold that. And then I think obviously the upper ones are always going to be pretty elite, regardless of what's going on with the market. The Ronaldos, the Ronaldinhos, the Maradonas, those guys are going to hold their value. Those are going to stay up.
Right.
But the middle tier ones you got to be careful with, and that's what I'm not going to go out and say this in a video that I know what's going to happen with those ones. I'm not pretty sure what's going to happen with those. Is there anything you want to add? You can go for it, man.
Yeah, no, I think you hit a lot of great points there. One of the questions I get all the time is, and I'm sure you get this too, is like, when should I buy my super duper team? Like, when should I buy my weekend league team? When should I buy like this high end player? And to sort of answer that question, Nick, you were talking about it before. There is going to be, you know, a dip in the market come, you know, there's sort of this peak in mid-October where prices get really high, and then as we sort of run into Cyber Monday, and you know, some of the Halloween events, and what have you, prices do take a dip, but it's index specific, right? So you know, the lower end players are the ones that take the hit first, and I think you could see some of those lower end players even take a hit as soon as this coming weekend league reward date. Just because people are going to say, okay, now I have, you know, 200, 300,000 more coins, and I can turn around and put that into a couple more higher end players, maybe looking towards some of the mid tier, lower upper tier. I'm talking about the average player base there. But then as you go on, some of the mid tiers start to become like the casualties as people shift their demands for the higher end players. And I think sort of like a general strategy right now, say you have a pretty good war chest of coins, and you're looking to build a pretty competitive weekend league team. What I would recommend you do is that you go out and buy, like, if you can afford it, a pretty high end player, right? Like your Ronaldos of the world, your Bales, a high end icon.
For sure.
And basically just hold that and then build a team around it. Because, I mean, if you look at what happened last year, the example that I always use is Ronaldo. Like, he basically held his price the whole year because he was the guy, like, in that position. He was in everyone's weekend leagues teams. And there's a number of players that you can look at right now. And I don't want to name specifics for fear of, messing up the price, but there's a number of players that you can look at right now that, do look pretty cheap compared to like how good they are, and then comparing it to like the level of players that you could compare that to last year, and it looks like they're going to be the guys that are going to hold their prices. So there's just generally that strategy. If you don't really want to try and time like market dips and stuff like that, just get yourself one good player, build a team around them, and just know that you're probably going to take an L on the rest of that team as they drop down, because some of the OP players right now, they're pretty expensive. They're going to drop, but you can know that the bulk of your wealth is going to stay in that one player. And if you do want to try and time the drop, the interesting thing about high-end players is that generally there is no lack of demand that causes them to take a dip. Whereas with like high-end players, when you start to get into like the promotions and stuff like that, when EA starts dropping new cards around Cyber Monday and stuff like that, there is an economic reason why they take a dip. It's because the demand for them goes down because there's players in the game now that are just simply better than them. So there's a reason that they drop, but the reason that the high-end players drop is because people panic sell. So the thing that you have to time if you're going to try and get those high-end players for cheap, is you're going to have to time the panic, and that's ridiculously tough to do, but it can be done by looking at like market sentiment. And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can watch YouTubers, you can watch big influencers. As soon as you start to hear a buzz about big dips happening, right? Like you start to see that, on your subscription box, like market crash incoming, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and that's it. It's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, that's when you want to try and pick up your players. But the tough part about it is it's really quick. A great example of when it happened last year was during Team of the Season, Team of the Year. There's like basically last year during Team of the Year, a lot of people said there was no market crash. Because if you look on FUTBin, a lot of people use FUTBin as their price reference. Player prices didn't drop that much if you just average it out over like a couple of hours or like a couple of days. But if you went in on like one of the specific days during the award ceremony, you saw an enormous, ridiculous drop in player prices, and it happened like very quickly, like a snap of the fingers that quickly. So with that in mind, if you want to try, if you know that you're going to be around for all of October, all of November, and you're gonna be able to time that drop, then I wouldn't buy like your high-end players now. But if you you don't want to worry about coins. You don't want to be constantly shifting your team around. I would go out, get yourself a high-end player, build your team around it, and just sort of know that you're going to hold the majority of your wealth in that one player.
Yeah, that's completely what I would do too. You saw players last year. I know we talked about the Ronaldo, because we can talk about that, I think, specifically because he's the cover guy for this game. Like,
it's known. Yeah,
he's the best goal card in the game. So if you look last year, you guys, footpin.com, go type it in. It's a great website. Highly recommend it, as well as foothead.com. Both of those websites are great to use for analytical, squad building, all that. It's what we use to look at a lot of players. You got to understand, if you look at Ronaldo's graph last year, I mean, like, not only, as Jamie said, does he, like, stay all year, but he, like, goes up from the beginning. Like, he was, like, I think 1-1, 1-2, and then he goes to, like, 1-5, 1-6. And obviously, you have the point of, like, oh, people last year didn't know about the Weekend League. I get it. Right now, he's, like, 1-6, 1-7 on Xbox. And, yes, that's high. But do I think he will probably hold that value? Yeah. I can't tell you he's going to go up a lot more. But he's definitely, you will not lose, in my opinion, if you're playing around with him for a while, because he's just he's the definition of elite in this game. And I think just regarding on another topic really quick, you just talked about the whole team of the year thing, and regarding like the panic selling. Panic selling is huge in this game, guys. I would say anytime you see, oh man, there's so many examples. I remember, like, you know, there's an example every day of what that going on in this game. You saw it. This is the easy example I could give anybody who is new to trading anything. Bakumbu, I don't know how you say his last name. He is a striker who plays for, I think, Villarreal, right? He scored 3 goals last weekend. 3 goals, okay? Any player, maybe except Messi, because I don't know if EA likes Messi, but any player besides Messi or now Bakumbu, he got an inform the first team of the week, right? But did not get one in the second team of the week, which means he's eligible to get another inform, in my opinion, because they don't do back-to-back informs in back-to-back team of the weeks. But because he got one in team of the week 1, didn't get one in team of the week 2, he's now, I think, eligible for team of the week 3. Scored a hat trick.
If I could just interject real quick, apparently there's like this unwritten rule, one of EA's weird unwritten rules, where you're not allowed to get 2 informed before team of the week 5. So I don't know if they're
really?
like actually sticking to that this year, but it was like no one knew that, right? Like, but like apparently someone on Reddit like went back and like looked through. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So just to show you guys the example of panic selling, because yes, it can be applied to icons as well. Like we were just talking about the rotations throughout the week, where you could probably pick up icons for cheap, which might be Sunday night for a little while when people are selling their weekend league teams. I remember last week you used to see Vieira go down a lot. Those elite guys go down on Sunday night as people were filtering them out of their teams. And then, you know, that's the time for investors to go probably buy for an investment to sell next Thursday night for the weekend league. But just regarding Bakumbu, like, everyone thought this guy was a sheer lock for the team of the week. Even I didn't know about this rule that was found in a Reddit thing from a while ago that's on Reddit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that you couldn't get 2 team of the week informs in the first 5 team of the weeks. So everyone thought this guy was a lock. Like, you know, he had a first inform that was 91 pace, like, unreal card. It looks unreal. I haven't even used it yet, but the second inform was like, in the projections, was supposed to be like, I think 92, 93 pace, like 86 shooting, and that was going to be such an elite card, like, for the beginning of the game in that league. And everyone thought this guy was getting in, so there's this whole train right now of like gold card investing, and everyone's going to buy and listen, it's a smart investment technique. You buy the gold card when it goes out of packs, because he's getting a special card. His gold card is no longer in packs, meaning that his supply is not being put onto the market. And if you're around a time for the weekend league, it will probably go up more, because there's a demand for the card. You got to be looking at cards that have demand, but there's no supply being put onto the market. And what happened here is my example, right? Sunday night, we have this new thing, Squad Battle Rewards. If you don't know what it is, it's like an offline thing. I think it's great. It's a good addition to the game. Always down for change in Ultimate Team. You basically get these rewards Sunday night now, which are decent. I would say the rewards were enough, at least we saw last week, to impact the market for, I'd say, like 30 minutes to an hour. And what you saw was, like, I was looking at Bakumbu because, listen, I thought he was going to get in Team of the Week personally. Sunday night, I picked up probably 20 of him for 2K. Now, Team of the Week predictions came out Monday, Tuesday. People started buzzing about certain players. Everyone was doing gold card investing with players who were getting ones to watch, made a lot of money there. So I noticed on Monday and Tuesday, a lot of people, and this is just the technique I want to tell you guys, a lot of people went to go buy a Bakumbu. He was like 7K by the time Monday night. And I got back from class and I looked at him. I was like, really? Like, this guy is 3 times what I bought him for the night before. Yeah. Just because people think he's getting into the Team of the Week. So you know what I did, right? I bought 20. I sold about 16. made 5K a pop on 16 players, kept 4 for the chance that he gets in Team of the Week, and maybe he goes 10K and needs a price range update, right? What happened was he didn't get in Team of the Week when the announcement came out. I think he went down to like 1.52K. He went all the way back down, like everyone undercutting. And if you don't know what undercutting is, someone's listing lower than the next person to try to get a sale. It's a constant rotation when people are panic selling of undercutting. And it's a great way to kind of maneuver the market and make some good coins. When a guy like Bakambu, probably I think is valued around 3K generally, if he's being panic sold to 1.5K, if he gets all the way down there and you set that price in your head, you're like, hey, I want to get this guy if he goes all the way down there. You're sitting on there, you're waiting for him to keep going down, you're watching him. It's a great investment technique, and I would say that if there's any time, like we were just talking about, and I'm trying to relate it to the Black Friday thing, where if there is a huge panic selling going on with Legends, and you're using footbin.com, you got it up on your computer, and you're like, all right, this guy was 600K last week. I see him in half the teams I play in Weekend League, and he's 420K right now because people are panicking. You might want to go ahead and make the investment, and it's a great tool to really take advantage of while other people are freaking out and think that they need to get their coins. And I know you and me, this is a real life thing. It happens every day within the stock market. There's certain panics that go on. Listen, it's the most true economic thing I think that happens in this game. For me, on using this free market on here, that I see that has the biggest correlation to real life. And it's a huge way to really take advantage and make money when people are going crazy about a card not getting into a certain Team of the Week, or thinking that they're going to go super broke because the card's going to drop a lot. Listen, there's usually a recovery unless it's a completely worthless card. I would say the best thing, obviously, if you're going to look at investing in panic selling, you're going to want to look at the players regarding icons that are used in Weekend League. I wouldn't say you're going to want to look at what's his name, like Inzaghi or Schmeichel's baby. I think you're going to want to look more at the guys like if you see a real Ferdinand or a Crespo like really being sold low. Those guys have this certain demand that will rise their price back up during the recovery period. Yeah, no, you hit it spot on. And just to build on your Bakumbu or Bakaumba, whatever his name is, that example, you could even look at his Team of the Week card. As soon as he got that hat trick, people were anticipating that he was going to get another Team of the Week, and his Team of the Week, the old Team of the Week, went down. So one of the things that I did, as soon as I realized that he wasn't in the Team of the Week, I went back and bought his old Team of the Week, and since then it's gone up like 10, 15K if I'm not mistaken. I haven't checked. He's got like 100. I watched him today. He's got like 105K right now, 100K. Yeah, exactly. So essentially, just to summarize what Nick was saying right there, it's a great point. One of the easiest ways to make coins is playing off of market sentiment. So whenever there's like a big prediction out, so I mean, you really you could use like myself, Nick, any other big influencers on here. If we get a call wrong, right, and we have like a lot of our followers are the people that we influence, and they have invested in, and they turn around and sell it. Like one of the things that you can do is just go in and pick up everyone's panic sold cards. And that's just not us, like myself and Nick. You could do that for anyone. It works particularly well. Another example that I just can come off the top of my head is with Player of the Month. If someone like, if someone, for example, if Mane hadn't been required for that Player of the Month SBC, or even if say for this coming month, say Kane upsets Aguero or Aguero upsets Kane, however you view it, people are going to panic sell Kane and or Aguero. So that's when you can go and pick them up, especially Aguero, who's going to be someone who's going to have really strong long-term demand for weekend league kind of stuff. It's stuff like that. In reality, yes, the promotions that EA do and the SBCs that they drop change prices, but I think one of the things that really moves markets, especially in the market where it's not necessarily real money being worked around, people are lazy with what they do, sentiment and misperceptions is what really rules and moves prices. Yeah, and I think a last minute kind of thing I want to wrap this up soon, because we could talk about market for 3 hours, but I don't know if that's what you guys want to hear. I don't think YouTube's going to let us post a feature-length film. Yeah, they're going to not let it upload. But just really quickly, and he's talking about Player of the Month, and I just want to, this all ties into icons, guys, like the panic selling. We're just trying to give you guys examples of how panic selling works and how to take advantage of it. Another one you can do regarding Player of the Month is every month you see informs that are 82, 83, 84 rated go up for Barclays Premier League Player of the Month, which happens, I think, on a Friday in the beginning of the month, right? Second Friday. It happens once every second Friday once a month, and you see this rotation of like, if the inform isn't needed for the SBC, which everyone invested and they hold to the SBC usually, unless you're selling in the hype, it goes down like crazy. Like you'll see some of the informs that were 21K before the SBC go down to 12, 13, 11. And that's a great time when that panic selling to go pick it up, because then you know again next month you're going to have an investment that's going to go up at least 10K into the next player of the month, where you can then sell when everyone's trying to panic buy that. And it's just a safe way to go within panic buying, panic selling and buying during that period. So I get it all mixed up, but listen, it's honestly like one of the best tips we can give you in terms of not giving you like a player like this guy's going to go up, but a tool to use in terms of doing this with every kind of card, special cards, icons, gold cards, team of the week cards, everything in the game. It's so usable universally all over the game and within the market. So if there's anything else you want to add regarding icons, I think we like literally hit every possible thing that can happen this month.
I think we covered it.
Yeah. So, dude, I appreciate you coming on and talking today. I know the channel is going to love it because, dude, you know your stuff, and it's great to have another guy on here that embraces the market and really, really enjoys talking about it. Guys, his link to his Twitter will be in the description. You guys got to go, just click it, follow him. You're probably already followed, but if there's some guys in here that are on YouTube and are just like, I just found this Nick guy, like, what is this trading stuff, and you don't know who this FutEconomist guy is and you're not over there yet, get on Twitter. There's a lot of us. There's FutEconomist, there's Golden Bear. There's a lot of good guys on Twitter, guys, that if you're looking to make coins, tweet out useful information and stuff to help you guys. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Love what you're doing, and thanks for having me on. Hope we can do this more in the future.
Yeah, man. Guys, comments down below if you have any questions. I'm trying to get to all the comments. YouTube's not letting me respond to comments after a certain amount, but I see everything you guys put. So if you have any, whether it's a recommendation, you made this many coins on a player, let me know, guys. Let me know if you're doing well investing wise so far. Again, appreciate you guys watching this video, and we're going to head out. Peace.
Peace.